Welcome to ET with GOTB. 16 goals this weekend, and that was just in 2 matches. Let's get into it. I'm Rachel.
I'm Sophie.
And this is Extra Time with Girls on the Ball. Right, actually there is 22 goals this weekend, one postponement, and a deluge of rain again. We will talk through all of that today and have a look at how it's impacted the WSL table. You're going to give us Player of the Week, Moment of the Week.
Yeah.
We'll also have a look at results in WSL 2, as well as a quick roundup of the Champions League playoffs and the Lionesses squad, which has dropped this morning, which is why we're recording a day late. And also have a quick look at FA Cup, which is coming up this weekend as well. So loads happening.
Going back to our roots, Rach.
We are, but before we get into that, this is your weekly reminder to make sure you're subscribed wherever you're watching or wherever you're listening to this podcast. Leave us a review, leave us a comment, let us know what you thought of the action this weekend, and make sure you're following us across all of our socials as well. We are at Girls on the Ball on everything and Substack. Well, it's weird to be recording on a Tuesday morning.
It is, but we had so much yesterday.
We do. And also, I normally record on a Tuesday morning with Upfront, so I'm not here.
Yeah, but also you had to do a mad trip back to London.
I didn't have a nice time yesterday. I was meant to pick up a camera lens and a flash on Sunday after the game, which
Apparently it's my fault.
Which I didn't say it was your fault. I was explaining why I didn't remember to do it, which I remembered I hadn't done when I came back down to Kent that evening. So
and why is it my fault?
Basically, after the Chelsea game, I said, we're near the house, we'll pop back to get my lens and the stuff that I need. Grand. That was the reason we were going to the house. And then you gave me this whole conversation about how you've been asked to do a Guardian piece, but because you're doing floor manager, you're going to have to do the Guardian piece kind of a little bit afterwards. So we're going to go to the house and that's where you're going to write the Guardian piece, etc., etc. So then my head was like, grand, we're going to the house for Sophie. I completely forgot that the actual reason we were going was for me to pick up all the stuff.
I mean, I don't claim any responsibility
No,
for this
I'm
mistake
not,
whatsoever.
I'm not putting the blame on you. I'm
Okay.
explaining why my head just switched it and completely forgot that I needed something. So it meant I had to do a 3.5 hour round trip last night at 7:30 to avoid the traffic on the M25. So
Fun times.
That's
Anyway,
why I
I'm
look so
sure
tired.
it's wildly boring for
I think it's
our listeners.
fascinating insight, especially given how much driving we're going to do this week. I don't want to see the inside of a car. Anyway, a little bit of caffeine. Let's crack on with the WSL results. I feel like my voice is going to go just reading out the goal scores. Manchester City 6, Leicester 0. Shaw, Miedema with the brace, Hasegawa, Carolyn and Figino on the score sheet. Aston Villa 3, Tottenham 7. Hansen with the brace, Jean-Francois, Gaupset, England, Holt, Tanberg with the brace, Hamano and Blackstead. Wow. Chelsea
Nailed it.
2, Liverpool 0, Nuskin and James with the goals there. Everton 1, West Ham 0, Hayashi with the only goal there. Manchester United 2, London City 1, Park, Turner and Paris on the score sheet. And Brighton and Arsenal was postponed, which I'm raging out of selfishness because I love coming back from a game and watching another game. So I didn't get to do that. I had to watch Wales rugby while I waited for you to write, which was shite. Okay, so the table looks like this, and Manchester City remain at the top. I feel like we should just clip that up and drop it in every week of me just saying Manchester City are still at the top. As they likely will continue to be. They're on 42 points. Manchester United are 8 points behind in second on 34. Chelsea are in third on 33, the best sentence for an Irish person to ever say. Arsenal are in fourth on 29 points, but they do now have 2 games in hand, which, if they win, would see them leapfrog Manchester United. So that's quite exciting. That whole Champions League race is quite interesting. When will those games get rescheduled? Will it be during the Asia Cup when players are missing, or when will it happen?
There's not actually that much time during the Asia Cup.
But that's the frustrating thing, isn't it?
It'd
games
probably
get
be
rescheduled.
more like end of April, May, but then you've got to think as well, if they do get through, and it's a big if they get through the quarterfinal Champions League against Chelsea, then the games turn to the weekend, so then you have more postponed games.
Oh, wow.
So, yeah. But
That's my take on that.
that's not happened yet.
Oh, wow.
A long way to getting to that point, but
They also
there
need
is
to
a
win them.
possibility, so there is,
But that must be annoying. I remember Jonas Eidevall giving out about that. I don't mean specifically for Arsenal. I mean generally for postponed games is the when. Could you end up having it when suddenly a load of players aren't available or whatever, or are available for the other team? Either way.
Yeah, I mean, you can't help the weather, I guess.
True. Right, sorry. Leicester City then remain at the bottom on 9 points. Liverpool are above on 10 and West Ham are above them on 11. So there is no change in those bottom three.
Liverpool and West Ham continuing to mirror each other's results.
I do wonder if that's ever going to change this season. Okay, let's start with Friday night under the lights. We just got back from Madrid in time for this one. Nothing I like more after. I tell you what, the pair of us were absolutely looking forward to it, weren't we? On a really long travel day, getting home, putting our feet up and watching some footy.
Spent way too long on that plane.
We did. But what a game it was, bloody hell. Manchester City 6, Leicester 0. Tell you what, Leicester could have been frustrated not to have had a goal in that first half. And in the second half, to be fair, which you wouldn't think from the scoreline that they had. I mean, Manchester City are not a team that you can create chances and not take against, because they will create chances and bloody take them. They were, you
need to, and I think that's kind of the theme at the moment across the weekend is there are moments for these lower down teams or the less experienced teams to take. It doesn't mean the result will go one way or the other, but to take opportunities. And I think you're seeing it again and again that the experience level isn't quite there. The calmness in the chaos isn't there in terms of box. When
taking Beth Mead's line, right?
Yeah, when I was going to actually bring her into it, but when you think about having those calm heads in those areas, the best players in the world kind of shut out the noise. And I think that's where maybe some of these teams that are growing or have less experience fall down quite a bit. And, you know, they should have had, they missed an open goal, hit the post?
Twice.
They had opportunities to take the lead, and when you don't take those opportunities, it can, eventually City will only go one way.
And those opportunities were against the run of play, like Manchester City were... kind of the better team from the off.
I'm not saying it changes the result.
No.
You do have opportunities, and you need to start making them count.
It makes me think back to when Leicester took a 2-0 lead against Arsenal. Do you remember all those seasons ago? And then Arsenal won 6-2. It's like, you might be like, yay! Oh.
But they, from that first half in that game, they took so much from that because they really it could have been more than 2-0. It could have been 4-0 in that first half before Arsenal turned it around.
Oh, I thought you were talking about the Manchester game.
No, that game back then. So you can build from these moments. So even if you end up with a bad score or you end up losing a game, there are foundations to build on. And I think you start putting those chances, like if they had done it against Manchester United the week before, you then have confidence to build on going forward against the teams that you're expected to maybe compete more with.
Yeah, absolutely. What I didn't love was pre-match. Oh, there's a bird. That's cute. Was pre-match. Rick Passmore saying in his pre-match interview that this was basically a free hit. I appreciate that it probably is. I don't love that attitude going into a game because it feels like you're automatically on the back foot. You're going into this game going, doesn't really matter what happens.
I think he was just trying to take the pressure off his players.
They're not watching Sky News before the game?
No, I know, but it all matters.
I don't love it. Anyway, the other thing I thought was funny was when Miedema scored her first goal, because she had a few chances, the commentators were like, and she's silencing the critics. And I was like, what critics? Who's been criticising Miedema this season?
Phenomenal season.
I was just like, I don't know where that came from. No, but she got 2 goals, very good game, again, linking up with Shaw and Hemp, and that kind of seamless collaboration between those players is just frightening.
Really, really scary. And I think they would have felt that everyone expected them to win this game, but I think after the defeat to Arsenal the week before, and maybe not questions, but because they hadn't been in that situation since the start of the season, how they would respond to losing that game. And I think they were very, very determined to come out and almost obliterate the opposition. And when you look at some of the stats, it's crazy. 4.63 XG, 31 shots, 15 on target, 600 accurate passes.
Jesus.
91% accuracy rate of passing. I mean, that is just ridiculous. So
it does feel a bit like, no disrespect to Leicester, but if you were going to have a game after a game where you created 1 shot on target and lost for the first time since the first game of the season.
This was the game.
And they absolutely capitalised on the spaces. They pulled Leicester apart and created loads. I actually think they would have been disappointed that they didn't score more. But also, can we just shout out the Carolyn Rocket?
Yeah.
That was one of those, those shots that force an audible reaction out of you. I was on the couch, I was like, oh my God. That was definitely one of them. She's got that in her locker. And her stats this season, despite being injured, she's way up the goal scorer list for someone who's played, I think, 7 goals, 4 assists in 9 games. She has a 55% shot accuracy, which I think is the best in the table, which is crazy. So yeah, another absolute worldie from her. So yeah, not a huge surprise in that result.
And actually really important. You mentioned the Asian Cup. City are probably going to be one of the hardest hit squads, and they've got a lot of depth, so they can.
But they are key players.
But you're looking at Yamashita, you're looking at Hasegawa, Fowler's been called up for Australia. Virginio's, as well. You know, you've got some really key players in that setup who are going to be disappearing, and they've got the quality and the depth to deal with it. But that will be nice to get under their belt, that result, before all of these changes sort of happen.
They have a buffer for a reason, I guess, as well. And scoring goals, which, you know, I'm sure, I know not loads of them are there from when they lost the league to goal difference, but that in the back of your mind will be like, getting as many goals as possible. Right, speaking of as many goals as possible, Aston Villa 3, Tottenham 7, which is like a rugby score. That was stupid. That's a silly score. That just shouldn't happen. They should kind of at 5 go, do you know what, like, I think we've probably won this one. My first note that I have under this one is, what the fuck? I thought the timings of these goals are interesting because people are, this is annoying me, going, is Natalia Arroyo safe? Shut up. I know this is a ridiculous scoreline. You don't, like, react to 1 or 2 games, in my opinion, to just pull the plug. Like, I just don't understand how anyone's meant to gain any sort of belief, momentum in a system if you know that when you have a bad day or two, you pull the plug. I do think some of this has got to fall on players' shoulders. Like, there's just some basics that players are just not doing right. Some really basic stuff, which I know they'll be frustrated at. Weirdly, statistically, Aston Villa tend to do better when they have less possession in a game. They tend to come away with more points. Not this time. You know, they had 4 shots. There's an example. 4 shots on target. They're probably all Kirsty Hansen, knowing her.
3 goals.
3 goals.
From 4
which normally you come away from a game and go, not bad.
I mean, they can't defend for love nor money at the moment. I think that was 25 goals in 4 games or something that they've conceded. And that's just simply not good enough. And I do think it's partly the players, it's partly the system. I think it does have to, at some point, it does fall on the manager's shoulders as well. Natalia likes to play very direct vertical football. She likes to get it from the back to the front as quickly as possible, but without necessarily the quality within, or like the experience within that. They have good quality players, but they're still learning the system and the style of play, and it leaves you very, very exposed to turnovers if you miss the passes. They're also quite static. They're not moving very well. They're quite passive. They're not reacting in the box to second balls. I think it was Hermano who, for one of the first shots on target, I think Bethany England got the first shot on target. Hermano just robbed the defender, just had no awareness of her around her, and then it went to Bethany England and Ellie Roebuck made the save. So I think it was a catalogue of errors at the back, and the other problem is you're relying on Kirsty Hansen too much to score goals.
True. I think it shows how much they rely on Rachel Daly, and you can't capitulate when one player's out of a team. I do think there's a mentality thing in the squad, because this kind of capitulation isn't a new thing at Villa. It's happened before in previous seasons under previous managers. And you know, when you look at, say, that Manchester United game where you thought 60, 70 minutes in, 1-1, you know, not bad for Villa, and then suddenly 71st, 75th and 79th minute, Manchester United are suddenly 4-1 up. Similar kind of thing this week in that.
They got back to 3-2, didn't they? And then they conceded
immediately
straight away.
conceded.
And you just need to keep it tight and keep your heads in those moments rather than go chasing the games. You've managed to narrow the deficit. You're pretty much got a chance to get back into it. And rather than going straight hell for leather, just take 5 minutes to just chill things out a bit, calm things down, get yourself back playing football, get back into the rhythm. You're at your weakest actually sometimes when you score a goal, because the other team come out and go, like, have more energy to go after you. So you just need to keep it tight. And Aston Villa, I do think there's the mental side of the squad is worrying. I think it was the same. You mentioned United, it's the same against City early in the season when they lost 6-0. They actually played really well in points, but they had those moments where they just conceded too many goals and they just fell apart.
But my point is, I don't mean earlier this season it's happened. It's happened under previous managers at Villa. The mentality thing has been a thing where the team get really down on themselves and make, you know, unexpected mistakes and kind of don't trust their own judgment. But you look at this, so, Hansen got them back into it, 1-1. 2.5 minutes later, Bethany England scores. And then Jean-Francois got one back when it was 3-2, and literally within a minute, Tamberg scores.
And restores the deficit. And that must destroy you mentally as well. When you're got the high of getting back into it, and then, we're back to square one again. It's just you need to learn the maturity to deal with that. And it's odd because, Lucy Parker and Anna Patten for a long time were, two of the most consistent defenders in the league. They were playing really well, and they just haven't been able to find that form. And I don't know whether it's the system or whether it's the mentality around the squad or what it is. I think there is also going to have to be a regeneration. There is a regeneration happening. They're relying on, we said last week, they're relying on younger players quite a lot, which is good, and it's going to be good for their future. But I do think Natalia needs a couple more windows to really build a squad in the style that she wants to play football.
Yeah, I think they concede a lot, and they play out from the back when they concede a lot, and they're just not taking the pressure off when they can. And I appreciate they want to play a certain style of football, but playing out from the back consistently isn't always working. Anyway, just on the flip side, bloody hell, Tottenham. They won't be happy with conceding 3 goals, to be fair. But I did think that a game like this was coming. You could see those moments of lovely football. I'd touched on it in previous episodes where those players are really linking up together really well, and one-touch passes, knowing where each other's going to be, confidence to take the shot on. Some of those goals, though, they should not be scoring from such tight angles, from inside post. A couple of them went in the inside post. But the confidence,
I think, at the end was...
Yeah, the confidence, though, to go and take those shots, they're all kind of on tails are up.
To have 6 different scorers, I think that really helps. Created 27 chances, 12 on target. So they were creating an awful lot of opportunities, and they probably thought they could have scored a few more of them, I think. I really like the way that they build attacks and they flow forward and they go in numbers. They like hunting in packs. There were at times where the Tottenham midfield area was just completely outnumbering. I think it was for... Actually, I'm not going to say this now because this is going to be my moment. So I'm going to wait.
Bite your tongue. So there is now a break, obviously, because there is FA Cup and then there is the international break. And people have been saying, some of the commentary and stuff have been, Aston Villa would just want another game to get back on the horse. I can't actually think a break is good for them to get some distance between these two bad results, to get some players back, to figure out what the hell's going on. There's going to be players going away with the international, with their teams and stuff. But I actually think a break is good for them. It's not one bad result, it's 2 results back to back. I know they've lost 5 on the bounce or whatever it is, but I think
a really good chance for a reset, I think. And yes, they're going to be losing quite a few players to international break. They don't play another fixture for a month. But I do think, it's for them, sometimes you just need a reset. Natalia needs to work with them on the training ground, the ones that stay, start to build some confidence back in those players. It always helps, I do think, sometimes when you're in a bit of a rut, to disappear off and go into a different situation.
Reframe your mind.
Kirsty Hansen said that when we talked to her. She was like, sometimes it's good to get out of environments and go into a different setup and be with different people and kind of just restore your energy levels and stuff. And hopefully by the 15th of March, Rachel Daly's back, and that will be a big...
And it's only Man City, so... God, of all the teams to come back to, bloody hell. I'll tell you who will be delighted, Tottenham, because they've got their FA Cup game coming up on Monday night, and they'll be very pleased going into that with the way that they've been playing. Absolutely, that will fill them with confidence.
Especially given, as we'll get into, London City's form at the moment.
Yes. Right, we're going to move on to Chelsea-Liverpool, which is the game we were at, where the deluge was. I'm sure there was a deluge at other games too, but this is where we were, and I was getting very wet. Not the most exciting game, if I'm totally honest. I was like, I really, and I've talked about it before, I hate this standing on the ball thing at the back, where the goalkeeper puts their foot in the ball and just stands there, or the defenders put their foot in the ball. It's not working. Do something else. But both teams are doing it. Oh my God. I was like, Jesus, put your foot through. At one point I was like, Falk, you're losing.
The high press.
But it wasn't working. They weren't pressing high. I was just like, okay, it's not working. Let's stop doing it. But no, both teams were like, no, we're going to keep doing it. So I'd love to see the time that the ball was stationary but in play, because it was really annoying me. But go on, tell the people what you thought of the game.
I think I watched the game from pretty much the dugout, and what I saw, and then when I went to look at the stats to write the match report afterwards, I was like, the stats don't really tell the story, and this is the problem with stats sometimes, because sometimes it gives you an opinion of a game, and that unless you have to kind of merge the two together, I think, to really
100%.
understand what was going on. I thought Liverpool were really, really good at points. They really challenged Chelsea, especially in the first half. They took the game to them. Their press is really, really energetic. They've got great structure at the moment. I think Denise O'Sullivan has brought a lot of energy into that midfield area. Kerry Holland, again, they're doing some interesting stuff with Kerry Holland where, she's on the left wing and then they'll draw her inside to make a box midfielder to try and add those numbers to the midfield area. And they just need to, you can see when they refine it, that will work.
Yep.
They just weren't quite finding her in time, or like it's just like a work in progress. But it's with adding a dimension to the game that I don't think Chelsea were expecting in that midfield area. They could have been ahead in the first 2 minutes or something. Alice Bergstrom, really unfortunate. It was definitely a handball, disallowed goal, but like it just bobbled at the wrong time.
Yeah.
But like otherwise it would have been a goal anyway.
Yeah.
So very unfortunate. Kerry Holland forced Hannah Hampton into a really good early save as well. So they had their opportunities at the beginning of both halves. Really, I think they started the second half well. But it's, as we've said before, experience in those moments. And Chelsea scored in the 40th minute. They've been really struggling with their movement, Chelsea. They were either missing like passes, they were like crosses going astray, everyone was being a bit loose on the ball. When the balls came into the box, there was no movement at any post. The deliveries were coming in from Ellie Carpenter and no one was making that near post run. The first time they made that near post run, they got the goal.
Yeah, you said you actually messaged me and you were like, "That's the first time."
Yeah. So Lauren James setting up Shirka Nuskin and to score in 48 minutes. We know what timing of goals means, right? To go in just
suddenly Gareth Taylor's rewriting his halftime talk.
And you have to change your talk and the mood goes down a bit. But I think Liverpool can be really happy with the way they responded to both goals. Didn't let their heads drop, just kept going, kept playing the game.
Aston Villa take note.
And that will give them a lot going forward. They wouldn't have expected much from this game. Not that they wouldn't try, but when they're thinking about the games to come, I think they've got West Ham next.
I'd love to say I know that.
No, I think they've got Leicester next, sorry. That's a huge game at the bottom of the table. That's the one that they're going to be eyeing. Those kind of games are going to be the ones.
But they know they've done things at Chelsea before or with Chelsea before, so they would have been like, it's not out of the realms of possibility that something could happen here.
But I think there's so many foundations that you can see in that team for them to build on. And Beate Olsen hasn't even got back on the pitch after injury.
He said it's not about injury. He said she's available.
She's available, but she's still trying to build up minutes after her ankle injury. So it's just trying to fit the pieces together. And I think he's got this newfound depth in his
doesn't know what to do with it.
Doesn't quite know how to use it all. No, I think he's got quite a clear plan, and you're starting to see his kind of football take.
Yes, we can see it from the standing and passing the ball around the back. Lauren James' goal.
Yes, beautiful.
Beautiful goal.
Her first 90 minutes of the season.
Great celebration, by the way, thank you.
I'm so glad you got it.
I'm so glad I got it.
I saw Lauren wheel away towards you, and I was like, I saw your yellow camera case. I was like, please be in focus. Please be in focus.
The amount of times where Hulk Thunder match would be like, that I didn't get something, but I did. I haven't actually seen that shot anywhere else.
No, because you were one of two, weren't you?
I thought there was three around me. But
I think you were one of two in the video guy.
I swear to God, she was looking straight down my lens. Like if you zoom in, it looks like and everyone laughs at my little yellow. I have a rubber yellow case around my camera body. I'm like, well, if people spot it, they're looking down my camera.
When Elizabeth Turland scored against Manchester United, I had it on.
Scored against Manchester United.
Scored against Leicester City for Manchester United. I could see, because the camera went that way, it followed her to do the kung fu kick on the and there you were, clicking away.
Raging because I'd missed the first shot and thought I'd got nothing. So if you're ever watching the game, keep an eye out for my yellow camera body. Everton 1, West Ham 0. Third win in a row for Everton. What I'm not going to do is lay that all at the feet of the new manager, which everyone seems to be doing when they do pre-match and stuff. They're like, well, that's now 2 wins in a row. And it's like, hang on. Win number one, not win number one, but the win of this grouping of 3 wins was under Brian Sorensen. So let's not get carried away. But it was a 1-0 win over West Ham, an important win given Everton were kind of sort of dragged down into that little battle down the bottom.
And it's amazing what can change in 2 weeks, where you're starting to put them in the conversation for that 12th place. and the playoff battle.
Playoff,
match thing. And now they're in 7th place or 8th place, 7th place. And they're looking pretty 8th place, sorry. And they're looking pretty, solid, comfortable in that thing. Three wins back to back is huge. It wasn't pretty. They scored in the 8th minute. They took their chances. They had 3 shots on target. West Ham weren't pretty either. I think it was a hard fought win. You can tell that the energy is up. But yeah, there's still a lot of improvement to be made, I think. I will shout out Yuka Mimiki again, though, because she's just superb.
Any opportunity.
And I don't know how she's not been called up for the Asian Cup.
That's mad.
Because she's, in form.
Wow. I will say that when you're watching games back and you know the score, watching a game where they've scored the only goal of the game in the 8th minute, and you're like,
I did sort of fall asleep in the second.
Got 82 minutes left to go. Here's a great example of why stats aren't the best thing to use as only examples of. I've seen Courtney Brosnan, who I love, will praise forever, as goalkeeper of the week in a number of people's teams of the week. She made 2 saves. So did West Ham's goalkeeper. How do you... Anyway, that's why you need more than just stats. There's not a huge amount more to say about this game.
No, I think West Ham will be frustrated that they couldn't back up that very dramatic comeback last week. I think they didn't create enough opportunities. They created they had the same amount of shots as Everton, but 7 each. There's not a brilliant haul, right? I think they were a bit passive and struggled to recover from that early goal.
They probably saw Liverpool was losing as well, and they didn't want to break up the
break
up the rhythm.
No, but I think it will be frustrating because you think you could build on that high, right?
Yeah. Okay, Manchester United 2, London City 1. This is the game I was listening to in my ears, and I did watch a little bit of when it finally stopped raining at Chelsea. What a great start from London City. They will be so annoyed not to come away with anything. Another example of a team not taking chances. Manchester United didn't start great. London City did start well. I thought, United had to make a number of changes. They've obviously been playing midweek in the Champions League, and, maybe that was kind of some of the reason. But Nikita Parris' goal, talk about putting your body on the line. What a header. And she had, I think it was Jade Riviere, that she had to kind of compete with the ball. And I think if that coming together had happened at any other point in the pitch, she'd have been in a heap. But because it resulted in a goal, she didn't feel the pain and she was straight back up again. So, brilliant goal from her, brilliant start. Fernandes then had a chance. Godfrey had a chance. They would be so annoyed that in that opening kind of 25 minutes, they weren't further ahead because, cat hair everywhere. Manchester United definitely came back into it. There was a very visible reset. And I know everyone hates when we talk about a goalkeeper going down when it's their team. But this is a really good example of how beneficial that can be when a goalkeeper goes down injured and the tactics board was out, and it very much addressed the issues on the touchline, and United came out differently and then in that second half of the first half. And a super goal from Jess Park. Again, if Jess Park is running at you with the ball, my only advice would be maybe try and put a tackle in. I've seen quite a few teams who just seem to back off. I don't understand it. She's unreal. Obviously great control on the ball, but also an absolute weapon of a foot in her and a shot in her. So maybe don't back off entirely because she can shoot from anywhere. I think London City can be rightly frustrated.
I don't advocate
pulling a player's shirt.
Kicking people.
Pulling a shirt.
But
making a tackle.
Sometimes you just got to bring them down. Very nicely bring them down, but so that you don't cause any hurt. But sometimes you just have to take one for the team. And when you know what Jess Parks is like on the ball, and she's running through defenders, you just need to almost stick in there.
Say running through defenders, nowhere near her. Yeah. They were all running backwards. She didn't even have to run through them.
You've got to engage with them and engage with her and try and stop her. And yes, you might give away a foul, but sometimes that's job that you have
not to take away her first touch was unbelievable to get the shot goal. And the goal was amazing, but bloody hell, put a tackle in. I thought Millie Turner's goal, welcome back Millie Turner, her goal was great for a player who's been out for so long. What instinct to get that header, absolute delight for the team for her to be getting on the score sheet. Not
pretty, I don't think.
No,
I think, and we can say that quite a lot of these games, it wasn't a pretty game. It was really hard fought by United. I think they had, they played on Thursday, they came on Sunday, they're playing on Thursday and they're playing next Sunday. So it's a real tough schedule for them. They came back from Madrid having got their real comfortable first leg lead. That was the important one, and then they just needed to get the result over the line. I've seen a fair bit on social media about their performance. I do understand that why fans want better performances from the team. They feel that they can play a lot better football, but I think at this stage of the season, it's just
get through it.
When you're playing back-to-back games like this and you're in multiple competitions, just find a way to win. And finding a way to win serves you better in the long run when you find your performances, if that makes sense.
Maybe
develop their mental resilience.
Yes, maybe the beauty standards are too high in football and we expect pretty football too much, okay? It's not always going to be pretty, guys.
I mean, there are some issues that need addressing, but I just think in the heat of this moment right now...
Yeah. What matters more right now for United fans? The fact that you're winning games in the competitions you're in, even if they're not pretty, or playing pretty football and maybe losing, or winning 1-0 against Atletico and coming back and having a big game in your hands, you're getting through
and
it.
Time on the training field is really limited. Like they have one session or something in between these games when you're playing every 3 days. You're doing a lot of classroom work. It's not, you're not getting a lot of time on the pitch to try and fix things or work on relationships or anything like that. So it's going to take a bit of time, I think. Okay,
we are now going to move on to your player of the week, please.
My player of the week, I am going to go with, this is tricky, but I was going to go with, who was I going to go with?
I don't know. You've had a whole 30 minutes to think of this.
Let me go with Vivianne Miedema.
Okay.
2 goals, I think. I did love the fact that she was so grumpy when she
scored. Always is. This isn't new.
No. But she was so grumpy because she missed the first opportunity.
Chance. Yeah.
She was laughing about it at the end. I think Lauren Hemp was really good in that game too. But Vivianne Miedema, I think she's just having an excellent season, and I always give her a bit more credit because everyone said it was she was over, she was done.
Oh my God, I put it up my own personal. People said she was washed.
It was way too early for that. She is one of the best football players, technically.
Instinctively.
Is in the game.
Yeah.
At all. And
still. In 2 positions.
She will be for a long time to come, I think.
So shut up. Okay, standout moment of the week.
This is why I was getting confused. I'm going to go with Cindy Gupsett's goal.
Oh, yeah.
Because I just loved it. And Jess Parks gave it a run for its money. But the way that she just drove through the midfield, she shrugged off Lucy Staniforth, shrugged off Mary Taylor, went straight through them, went into the box, played that 1-2 with Julia Backstad, and then threaded the eye of the needle through 3 Aston Villa defenders to find the back of the net. And what a way to score your first goal for the club.
Unbelievable player, technically, but she is tall and she is strong. Check out the interview I did with her on our Substack, little plug there, because I actually really struggled to get both me and her on the camera because she's so bleeding tall. So yeah, she is a strong player. She knows how to use her physicality, which is really impressive for such a young player, because that's often something that comes a bit later when you're playing in higher standards of football, and that gets harder. The physicality side of things is often the thing that comes later. She absolutely has that now.
She started... her first couple of games were in the wide areas, and she's been moved now more central, so she's playing the 8, and that's probably her more natural role. She's a really good box-to-box midfielder, but that run was just quintessential Cindy Gupsett. That's what she was doing for Bran. That's how she drove, the way that she can drive at defenders and use her physicality, but also the presence of mind and the finish. She is a complete footballer. She will be a complete footballer when she's older.
I've been singing. I've been on the train for ages. Okay, let's move to WSL. 2 results: Charlton 4, Durham 2, Bristol City 0, Southampton 2. Ipswich Sheffield United was postponed. Newcastle 2, Portsmouth 0, Sunderland Nottingham Forest was postponed, and then Birmingham 1, Crystal Palace 3. They played last night, which makes things pretty interesting. Charlton are well on top with 37 points.
They're getting that title.
Yeah, and 15 games played. Birmingham are in second on 29 points, with 15 games played now as well. Third spot is looking tasty. Crystal Palace, with the win last night, have overtaken Bristol City. They're now in third on 28 points, with Bristol City in fourth on 26 points. Newcastle are in fifth, also on 26 points, but with a game in hand over Bristol City and Palace. So that third place spot is definitely up for grabs. Southampton are only 2 points off them as well, so they could very much be in.
I think that second place spot, even with the game in hand, is very much up for grabs now.
The second place?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, okay.
Birmingham are so inconsistent, and I don't understand why, because maybe I just jinx them every season, but they have the players and the quality to win this league, and the last 2 seasons, they've just dropped the ball.
Maybe pick another team next season.
Maybe they pick another team. But yeah, they're so up and down, and results are always up and down in this league, so you can never quite call it. But I think they've brought themselves back into play in terms of automatic promotion.
Yeah, it's going to be exciting. Down the bottom, Portsmouth are propping up the table on 10 points with 16 games played, and Ipswich are on 10 points above with 14 games played. So they could potentially be out of sight should Ipswich pick up points in those games.
Yeah, they were meant to play Sheffield this weekend, so that'll be their game in hand. And the other one is Charlton, so that's a toughie. But they are...
Stranger things have happened.
They are in the driving seat, I think, in terms of that.
Okay.
To avoid relegation.
Very quickly, Champions League. We were there this week in Leuven and in Madrid. Arsenal coming away 4-0 winners in that first leg, and Manchester United coming away 3-0 winners in their first leg as well. Both important cushions to be bringing back at this stage of the season. In such a big game, to be getting to the quarterfinals, you don't want to be leaving it kind of late or to chance or to a tight scoreline. Not to say that it can't be, they can't be beaten, but to give themselves that kind of cushion is very important.
That cushion's important. They have to still do the job, of course, but they can sort of maybe rest a few players, rotate. Obviously, Arsenal didn't play this weekend in the end, so they've got a bit more energy in their legs, but they will have Bristol City in the Cup the following Sunday. So the games are still coming for them, and to have that advantage, it just allows you to not relax a bit, but just, not have to go all guns blazing. Same for Man United. They were very, very good in terms of the professionalism of the performance against Madrid, and they will be confident that, they can get through into the quarterfinals where they're going to face Bayern Munich.
Right, well, we'll be at both of those games this week as we kick off a 6 games in 6 days run, which is stupid. Most of those games are going to be FA Cup.
Most of them, yeah.
Of the 6. Why are you looking confused?
Because you put that as an FA Cup.
Oh, did I? Sorry about that. It is not FA. One of those games. God, we're doing 3 competitions in 6 days. Bloody hell. Right, so we're doing... This is how much I pay attention. We're doing Champions League, then we're doing WSL 2, which is going to be Durham versus Sunderland on Friday. We're hopefully doing a little bit of an interesting interview while we're up there, so keep your eyes and ears peeled. Then we'll be doing Saturday, Birmingham versus Chatham Town, which I'm quite excited for. Sunday will be Chelsea versus Manchester United, and Monday will be London City versus Spurs. Obviously, there are lots of other fixtures going on this week in the FA Cup as well, so do keep an eye out for that. There's still plenty of interesting ties. Oxford are hosting Charlton, which
really
would be cool.
Wanted to actually do that one.
But we couldn't squeeze it in. There's a Merseyside derby as well. I think the Manchester United-Chelsea game would be really interesting. West Ham against Brighton. There's going to be a couple.
This is why you shouldn't mess with the FA Cup.
Oh, yes.
Because I think it's going to be a fantastic weekend. You've got everything. You've got, Chatham Town, who are on this historic run. You've got Oxford United playing at home, a really good one. I think obviously Chelsea and United will get the eyes on it because of the big nature of that tie.
And it's good. We want to see
so many stories going on.
We want big teams being knocked out early. We don't want to open the door for an easy pathway for these teams just to get to the top. It kind of happens anyway. They don't need extra help.
But also you get eyes on this round. Imagine if there was like Manchester United, Chatham, which would get eyes anyway. It's a good story. But all of the top 4 teams were playing lower opposition. A, you don't get an extended cup run, and B, like in terms of broadcasting, if you're thinking about headline games, Chelsea United bring the numbers in that respect. So
leave it alone. Okay, this morning we had the announcement of the Lionesses team for this upcoming extended window, which is 3 weeks because the September and July window have been scrapped. Is that correct? So teams don't have to play 3 fixtures in this window. They can choose to, like the She Believes Cup, for example. So the Lionesses will be playing 2 fixtures in this window. I think there was a potential for the Finalissima to potentially happen at this time, but I think that's potentially an area where everyone was kind of like, oh my God, is this going to happen? It's not. They will be playing Ukraine in Turkey. Wrap your head around that one. You'll be there. I'll be in Ireland. And then Iceland at home. Main takeaways from this team is Poppy Pattinson has been called up, Freya Godfrey has been called up, which is great. Lucia Kendall has kept her place, as has Laura Blinkilder-Brown. Grace Fisk is back, and I really hope she finally gets a chance to get on the pitch.
Yeah, she's been a bit unlucky.
Stay fit, gal. I really hope she does get her chance.
Because she was picked in the last squad, but then had to go home after like 3 days because she got picked up an injury. First ever call up for Poppy Pattinson, which is great for her. Long time coming. I think it's, Serena Wiegmann's hand's been forced by a few injuries, I think, in some respects, but it's time for we saw in the last window that some of these youngsters are actually really taking their chances. Lucia Kendall is probably a mainstay now of this squad, and unless something really badly goes wrong, touch wood not, she's cemented her place. Freya Godfrey is heading that way, I think, with her performances for London City recently.
Her, the wand of, I don't understand how some of the shots she gets. Both sides can play right foot, left foot. Defenders don't know which way to push her. It's incredible. And I think with the likes of Beth Mead out, that's a great alternative. Ella Toone is obviously out as well with injury. Niamh Charles and Missy Bowe-Kearns as well, missing out. So, yeah, probably just as well it's not Spain this window. Yeah?
Yeah, I think it's a good leeway into. I think I'd be more worried if it was Spain.
Any other updates you want to give from an international perspective?
Well, the Irish squad is out. Can't remember who you're playing. You're going to the games.
We are playing. Thank you. It is France, and I almost booked Cork because for some reason I had Cork in my head. It was because they started advertising tickets for Cork, and I just thought, oh yeah, the France game's in Cork. It's not. I was literally one click away. I'd picked all the flights, I'd picked my hotel, and I was about to press book, and then for whatever reason I went back to check something, and I was like, that's not in Cork. So I'll be going to Dublin for the France game. I looked into Utrecht. I always find that one a bit tricky because, in terms of getting flights and stuff from, I don't want to go to Schiphol, no offence, Nightmare Airport at the moment. So coming back to Amsterdam after late kick-off, etc. was a little bit tricky. So I'll be doing the Iceland game.
Yeah, being able to welcome a couple of players back. Courtney Brosnan's back. Obviously, there was the winter camp last time out. They didn't. They played a behind closed doors fixture against Hungary, but they've got Brosnan back from injury in good form, as we know. Megan Connolly is also back. She's been out for a while, and Leanne Keenan is also back in the fold. So I think that's key as well.
Yeah, absolutely. They're going to be tough games, but we'll learn plenty from them. That is the point of Group A. All right, we'll have plenty to talk about next. I'm going to say Tuesday because we've got a game next Monday. So I'm going to say that we'll probably do our episode next Tuesday.
Yes.
So that we can round up the FA Cup properly, because there'll be absolutely loads to talk about. If you want to follow our crazy journey this week, do make sure you're subscribed and following us across all of our socials. We will definitely be updating as much as possible, and you can watch as we get progressively more tired. Okay, chat to you all next week.